Hello and welcome to the Clock and Talk, an Arsenal podcast, and we're covering, for fuck's sake.
Good job me and Schwinn are a lot more prepared than you, because if we came on and went, oh yeah, we didn't watch the game either, we was on the piss, it'd be a pretty shit podcast.
Well, Mesut Ozil is the best number 10 in the Premier League.
Yeah, that all looks good on paper, but there's never been a football match played on paper, so it's not really worth much.
I'm going to make a bold prediction that Jack Wilshere will sign for West Ham United.
It's time to start watching football with your eyes. I think people listen to what the commentator's saying and have that as their own opinion, but if you watch what's going on, you'll see things a lot clearer.
Schwinn, who do you think is going to win the Golden Boot?
I think Alexis Sanchez might do a number on that this year.
Okay. Tony talks about a clock being right twice a day. Tez is right every day. Try it from 5, lads. Fucking beauty. Hello and welcome to the Clock and Talk. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And the trio is back together today. And when I say trio, we have Tony and Schwinn. So I'm going to go the other side this time, Tony, and welcome Schwinn. How are you, buddy?
Oh, very well. Back promoted. So I guess that's a double whammy for me today. But very well. Very happy New Year to all our listeners. I'm sorry I've not been around, but I hope everyone's doing well. And glad to be back with you boys.
And, mate, while we've got you quickly, because I don't know how long you're going to actually hang around for the show for and if you're going to be back next week and that. So I just want to clear up, we haven't had a fallout.
No fallout. Just me being busy and just me being in places where there was no internet for a very long time. So no fallout, except the fact that, Chez is a massive cunt. There's really no reason that I would not turn up.
No, I just had to clear that up because we did have a couple of listeners asking where the fuck is Schwinn and did we sack Schwinn? So, but welcome back, mate, and hopefully, well, it's not on the best of games, is it? But anyway, we'll get into that shortly. And Tony, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's weird sitting here because I'm listening to that voice and I'm just thinking, I wish I could do a Conor McGregor impression because who the fuck is that guy? Like, just hearing this slightly Indian American accent and I'm confused. But yeah, football aside, I'm all right. But if I include football, I'm fucking shit. Yeah, yeah, football aside, I'm good.
No, it was a shitty old game. And Tony, I will go to you on your thoughts. You right there, Schwinn?
I am, yeah. I'm doing fine.
All right, Abe.
You just have to check on you every 2 minutes to make sure you're still here.
Yeah, I just got to double check. Our lineup, Tony. A couple of shocks there. Thoughts there? Yeah,
I suppose I wasn't really expecting a 5 at the back against West Ham. I've seen a lot of people moaning that Maitland-Niles started and Hector was on the bench, but Hector probably wasn't 90 minutes fit. Obviously, he's been out for a while. Ozil, everyone expected him to at least be in the squad. He tweeted on Friday saying, good to have a full week's training. Basically, I'm back. And then not in the squad at all. Didn't even travel. I know it's not a long way to travel. But so there was a few weird things. I guess the shape was more than anything that confused me. But like when the game started, obviously, we've got the back 5, we've got the wing backs, we've got Guendouzi and Xhaka in the middle. I have no idea why Torreira didn't play. He's had a week off, and if you don't include Blackpool where he didn't play, he's had 2 weeks off, even though he travelled to Blackpool. But then the front 3, I don't really know what was going on. It seemed like Iwobi was playing left wing when you have a left wing back, so they're kind of standing on each other's heels. Lacazette through the middle, and Aubameyang was on the right. And it's like, well, why are you playing 2 wide attacking players in Iwobi and Aubameyang, and Aubameyang and Lacazette did interchange? When you've got wing-backs, that's kind of their job. The whole point in having wing-backs is to cover that side of the pitch. It was just weird.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Weird selection.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking Iwobi left, Aubameyang right, and it just odd the way he played the both of them, I thought. Schwinn, your thoughts, mate?
Very similar. Not quite sure what Emery was trying there. I mean, you could sense that he was trying to be conservative, by throwing 3 center backs in the lineup. But I'm not quite sure what he was trying to achieve with that. And when you have the likes of Felipe Anderson and Antonio on either side, then you'd expect someone like Torreira in there who can cover for your fullbacks who will go up very high. But just all in all, just a lot of question marks on what the team selection was based on and what Emery thought he was going to achieve with this formation and this lineup.
You were pretty vocal. I think it was in one of the WhatsApp group or on Twitter, was it, about Ozil not starting?
Well, more than starting, just featuring. It's understandable if he doesn't start because as the case was with Bellerin, maybe he doesn't have it in him to have a full 90 out there. It was a London derby at the end of the day, and I think this was the first time that the West Ham stadium was full. I think this was the largest ever attendance for a West Ham game at home. So, the day was charged up, early kickoff, emotions running high on the day, especially for someone like West Ham. Samir Nasri making his debut back in the Premier League. So, obviously, there was some impetus from that regard, and we lacked all of that on yesterday. And when you see that there's a lot of problem in creating, then you want someone like Mesut Ozil at least available off the bench as a contingency. Because other than Ramsey, who obviously came on and improved us, there was really no one who was going to come and make a dent in their resolute defense. So it was. I'm not sure what's going on. Look, we can talk about it, and I'm sure we will. But even from a tactical standpoint, you would imagine he's going to bring something to the table that no one else will. And sometimes that's the differentiating factor.
We'll get into that a little bit now, actually, because we're talking about it, and it was a bit of a shock for me that he didn't even make the starting lineup. Tony, was it you who tweeted at the end of the game, Emery picking his battles? I haven't got the tweet in front of me, but I presume, obviously, you're talking about Ozil, and what's your take on what's going on there?
I've been saying for ages now he's picking a battle he can't win with Ozil, not because Ozil's bigger than the club or anything like that, but we have no one else that can create anything. So if you pick a battle with someone, it's got to be someone that you can easily replace, and when they're not there, you can say, see, it does work without him and we're still performing. The fact is, and me and you had this debate last week, we haven't really performed when he's not played, barring probably the Tottenham game. So it's always going to, unless you're better without him, it's a battle you can't win. Because no matter how much you hate him or if you disagree with how he plays, you don't like his body language, you don't like his attitude, the simple fact remains we're a better team with him in it. So it is always going to be a battle we can't win unless we are better without Ozil. And at the moment, we've got no one that can do that job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know it's very hard because, we lost the game 1-0. For those who haven't seen it, don't fucking bother. Seriously, it was a shocking game. But and I know, the horses bolted, Tony, but do you think that Ozil would have made a difference in this team yesterday?
It's the way it was set up. I don't know if they'd done that because there was no player like Ozil, but there was loads of space and loads of time on the ball, especially sort of not in the middle, but where a 10 would be. So from what we saw, it was a game that probably would have suited Ozil, but you don't know. They may have set up differently. Declan Rice may have sat a little bit deeper. I mean, for me, he was man of the match, and he was cutting everything out in the middle. Even if Ozil's there and doing nothing, Rice probably has to sit 10, 15 yards deeper to cover for that. Look, it's very easy to say, oh, we would have done better with him there, but I'm not really going to do that because no one knows, and there's always that argument, would we have been better with him or without him? But to not have him there as an option for me is lunacy. Mm-hmm.
Schwinn, mate, there's fuck all really here to talk about in this game. As far as match facts go, highlights were about 2 minutes, fucking 10 seconds long. West Ham won it, obviously 1-0, as I said. 0-0 at half time, mate. So just let it rip, Schwinn. Give us your whole thoughts on the game, buddy.
We started well. I thought the game was very high in tempo from the get-go. Within the first 10 minutes, I think the game was end-to-end, you could say. And in a way, it went reverse. Things sort of became a bit more rigid as the game progressed. But it seemed like they came to play, and we tried to. And in the beginning, we did tick. There were a couple of moments that Iwobi really drove at the defense and was able to pick passes. There were a couple of moments, of course, where he completely missed Kolasinac's run in acres of space. But after the first 10, 15 minutes, we sort of went into our shells and just never seemed to get passes together. Granit struggled to make us tick. I think he really excels when Torreira is next to him, because psychologically, he's happy to know that Torreira is behind him, and in case he makes a mistake, then there's someone to mop up. I think with Guendouzi, he's not quite there, and that's understandable. But that doesn't excuse some of the errors he made yesterday. Aubameyang on the right does not work, and he won't work. It's that simple. You would imagine Lacazette is someone who probably fits in there better with his work rate, with his ability to link up. And then you have Aubameyang up top who can make runs and pull defenders and break lines. But I'm not quite sure what Emery tried yesterday. As much as we've seen us throughout the season, I know we had that 22-game unbeaten run, but we've spoken about this on the pod many a times, that there is no palpable style of play that's been established. And it's very hard to believe in something that you can't see. I think the honeymoon period is definitely over. Yesterday's performance, I think, is one of the worst I've seen this season. I mentioned to you guys that this was our worst XG performance in terms of analytics since Man City, since the opening game of the season. And, since the 67th minute, being 1-0 down, we didn't have a shot on target. As someone who's chasing a game in a London derby against a team like West Ham, which, let's be honest, is not as good as we are in terms of quality, that's unacceptable. And, we can talk about the owners. We can talk about what the top brass is doing. Emery obviously made some comments in the build-up to the game about only loans and not buying. But on the day, we know these players are capable of better performances, and it just simply didn't happen for any of them. So I don't think this has anything to do with transfers. This is simply not being able to get out of bed for arguably a good and important game. We could have made ground on Chelsea. We could have given United some more things to think about with them playing Tottenham this weekend, and we just didn't capitalize on a big chance. And this is where the difference is made in the course of a season.
Just to extend on the point Schwinn made quite early on. Then obviously, look, I'm not an XG man, I'm not a stats man. Everyone knows that, but two of our worst XG performances in the last 3 years have been under Emery, and he's been there 4 months now. So yesterday, Man City at home this season and Man City away last season are our worst three since the start of last season. Yeah. So it looks like, I think it feels like I was having a rant last night because I was severely pissed off, but it looks like our attacking football's got worse, our defence has got worse. It's baffling. As I said, I wouldn't have minded getting worse, and I said this many times, if you could see a clear plan. I think Liverpool got worse before they got better under Klopp, but you could see what they were trying to do. Man City certainly got worse Guardiola's first year. They struggled to make top four. I think they made fourth on the last day of the season. But you could see what they were trying to do. And yeah, they threw a load of money at it, but you could see a game plan they were trying to implement. With us, I ain't got a clue what we're doing. And I don't think the players are. We're playing a different formation every week. We're playing 2 or 3 formations every game. I just don't think anyone knows. I don't see how you improve from here, because you don't know what you've got to improve on. Apart from saying we need to defend better and attack better, but that's not a system to improve on. That's fucking obvious.
Do you think that, and I'm not saying it's hard to think about this, but okay, you've got Iwobi, you've got Lacazette, you've got Aubameyang. Do you think he's trying to work out where they fit in best? Because for me, I agree with what Schwinn said. I would almost like a Lacazette in the right and a Aubameyang up front, because we know Lacazette likes to drop back deep. He can do the link up well, and we know what type of player Aubameyang is. So, running through the channels and mate, he's the bloke to score the goals. So, do you think he's experimenting and fuck-assing around with how these players suit?
I agree with both of you. Obviously, I'd prefer Aubameyang as a 9 and Lacazette as the roaming player. Look, if he is, that's undefendable. And people try and use that he's still figuring it out. But he apparently got the job because he compiled a dossier on every player on how he was going to improve them, what they were good at, where they could play, how they fitted into his system. So he should have done that before he came. Apparently that's why he got the job. But also now he's been here, 6 months now? I know competitive games starting in August, but he's been at the club 6 months. To not only not know your best 11, but your best formation, your best shape, the best roles for each of them players, where each of them players play within your shape after 6 months, and apparently a comprehensive dossier, for me, is just poor. Like, there's no other way around it. It's shocking.
Oh, mate, and I'm not going to defend Emery for yesterday, and I'm not going to be on the Emery out bandwagon like I've seen lots of fans. But I will say, do you think, and it's all a matter of do you think, and fucking I'm just trying to work out his headspace as well. He's come to the Premier League. He's obviously coached in the French league and in Spain. The Premier League is a tough league, and there's lots of extra games: Europa League, FA Cup, EFL Cup. Do you think he's thinking, fuck, these players are rat shit? Like, when I say rat shit, like, they've got no energy left. There's no fitness level. Like Tuera, Ozil, I had to put these guys out. Bellerin's been injured. Monreal's been injured. I've got a fucking team that I'm trying to juggle around. I didn't expect it to be this hard.
I mean, it looks like at the moment he's basing his team on, if you run more than the guy next to you, you start. Which, like, you've got to factor in quality at some point. So, I mean, he apparently got the job because he knew everything about every player inside out, how he could improve each player, what they were good at, what they were bad at. I saw this debate. It was nothing to do with me, but I was reading it on Twitter yesterday. Who's improved?
Look, if I had to say two players who have improved from last season, is probably Kolasinac and Bellerin.
I would say Bellerin. Kolasinac, I think, is still great going forward and still shit going backwards, and we've just played a 5 that suits him, which you've got to give Emery credit for. And in all fairness, I'd say Iwobi's improved.
I was going to say you could make an argument for Iwobi as well, yeah.
I think Mustafi deserves a shout here as well. I mean, look, he's still a 7 on 10, but I think on an average he's been a bit more consistent than what he's been in previous seasons.
But so he's compiled this dossier of every player, how he's going to improve them, and look, we've just named 4 or 5, and some there could be some debate there. Mm-hmm. How many players have gone backwards?
I think Granit's gone backwards.
I think Granit's gone backwards. You've got to say Ozil's gone backwards because he can't get in the team. When he does, he's not pulled up any trees. You've got to say Ramsey's gone backwards for exactly the same reasons. Mm. So you're kind of looking at what he's bringing and apparently his big strengths. We're probably at neutral. He's improved some, but he's made others worse.
Mm-hmm. It is really baffling. I didn't catch the Fulham game, and I know I'm probably late to the party, but listening to a couple of podcasts and whatnot, they said it could have been, and I know we won the game 4-1, but they said it could have been a similar result from what people were saying.
But we should have been 3-0 down.
Yeah, people were saying like we should have been 3-0 down type of, how we won that game. So coming into West Ham, I was type of thinking, shit, if that's true, like, fuck, what do we expect here against West Ham? I don't know what he's trying to do. I really don't know. And that's the baffling bit about it, isn't it? Nobody
As I said, that's the worst thing for me. I'm more than willing to give him time, but we have to see a direction. I'm not sitting here saying Emery out, but it is pissing me off because I can't see what we're trying to do. And as I said earlier, how can you improve if you don't know what you're trying to do?
Mm-hmm. No, Scott, no fuck. If Ozil doesn't start again next week, do you think, and I'll get your opinion too, Schwinn, are we thinking Ozil may leave in the summer?
Who's going to take over his wages?
Okay, so it comes down to his high wages. So,
well, yeah, again, it's another reason that this battle's ridiculous between the two of them. And look, we don't know what goes on behind the closed scenes, so I'm not going to say that Ozil's blameless because we don't know. Ozil could be a complete prick, but we've got this player on this contract. He's clearly better than what we've got. So whether you like him or not, use it. And if he is to go at some point, so be it. And I hate this notion that, he doesn't want him long term, so he's not using him. Because that's still making the club worse now. And you're still paying his wages. It's not as if by him not playing, he doesn't get a penny that week. So, okay, if you don't want him, fair enough. But don't make the club worse in the short term. Because it's not. You're also taking away any value he has. I mean, you'd find it very difficult to get a fee for him anyway because of the wages. But any fee you would get is going down every week now.
Because he's not starting. What about you? Yeah, not playing. What about you, Schwinn? Like, and I know you really love Ozil, and he's type of your number one player, but this has got to be hurting for you.
Yeah, I mean, apart from my personal interest, as Tony said, the short term is where it matters. I've seen a lot of comments on different platforms where people are saying that this is not Emery's team. And that's fine. That's understandable. He's just come in. We spoke about how he needs a year at least and how he needs a couple of windows where he's able to shuffle the squad around. That's fine. That's completely understandable. Maybe Mesut Ozil is not built for Emery. That's okay. But in the now, if you have someone like Iwobi, and this is nothing against Iwobi, but I think we can all agree that Mesut Ozil is a superior player to Alex Iwobi. So he has to use whatever resources he has, even if it's Ramsey, who we know is off in the summer or possibly even this window. You play the best players you have in a manner that you can fit them onto the pitch so that you are able to win the game that is today. And then you worry about building your squad, in the next window. It's cutting off your nose to spite your face, and it's not working for the club. It's not working for Emery. And psychologically, it's going to have a bad impact on the players. They're going to forget about this 22 games unbeaten run when you're dropping points to West Ham away, who, let's be honest, are not the best team. They have some players who are coming in and can improve the squad, but they're struggling. And with our quality, with the players we have, we should be going in and battering them. So I don't think this is about Mesut Ozil. This is about the club using the resources it has, which are not too many, as we all know, and still not maximizing what we can do with the players we have. Even if Emery wants to ship Mesut Ozil off, make sure that you play him, make sure you put his quality on display so that you get more money for him. You have more interest. We recently learned that he apparently said no to £1 million a week in China. Maybe that interest will come back, but if you're just going to isolate him from the squad, then you're not going to get a transfer fee worth for him, right? So it's very counterintuitive. It's very counterproductive, and I'm not sure what Emery's trying to do. I think Tony made a very good point to us yesterday that he basically put out a formation, you could argue, that said that Mesut Ozil was not going to fit into this formation. So this is why I'm playing it. It made no sense. Aubameyang on the right does not make any sense. You don't put the joint top scorer in the league on the right. No, when you could throw Lacazette in there, right? So there's a lot going on beneath the surface, and I'm not sure whether Emery is open to change. I think what's happened with him in his previous clubs has made him a bit more rigid in that regard, and maybe a bit stubborn. And at this point, we're the ones suffering because of that.
Mm-hmm. I got my arsehole ripped the other week when I mentioned to Tony that it's not his team.
It doesn't
you want
matter.
me to do that to you
today? No, but actually Tony did make a good point in that when we were talking about that, Tony, because a lot of these, there's a fair few players in this squad that have come in, isn't there? So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, he brought in 5 players. Who of them started yesterday? Was it just Socrates, Guendouzi, Leno, and you've got Lichtsteiner and Torreira on the bench? But regardless, even if we bring in no players, look, yes, of course it's harder to work with players that aren't yours, but you still have to do it.
Oh, yeah,
you can't go, I'm bombing this off because they're not my players. That is what he's been brought in to do. No manager ever comes into a team and buys their whole first team, and they still have to do that job. And unfortunately, in the world of football, if you don't do that job in the first 6 months or year when it's not your players, in general, you get sacked. So you can't just go, it's not his players, because if he comes 9th, I'm not saying he will, with a team that aren't his players, he hasn't earned the right to bring in his own players, and he loses his job in general. I'm assuming that would happen with us as well.
Yeah.
So you have to earn the right in football to get your team. No, as I said, no one come in. Even Guardiola in his first season didn't come in and buy 11 players. He was playing fucking Gael Clichy in centre midfield because he didn't have his players. But he earned the right, and they backed his project. So that's what you have to do. I hate this excuse. I really do. But they're not his players. I think it's the biggest load of bullshit going.
Welcome back to the podcast, Schwinn.
What's happened?
I got ripped for that one the other week. What was I going to say? What's going on with Mkhitaryan?
He's injured, isn't he? I think he's still recovering.
Oh, he's injured, is he? Okay.
Yeah,
I
left
must have missed
foot.
it. Oh, right, okay. Yep, no worries. So that's why he didn't feature anywhere in this team or around it. So I'm just trying to think of the Aubameyang on the right. It still got me fucked, you know. Okay, boys. Look, Tony, Declan Rice, 48th minute, he got the goal. West Ham 1-0. Obviously, I'm going to throw a bit of shit at Granite here, and because why he didn't fucking clear the ball to start with has got me completely fucked. He's headed it straight back into the centre.
You know what? It's unforgivable from Xhaka, because he's headed it both down and into the centre of the goal, or towards the goal, not towards the goal, but not out wide. Even if, first of all, you should be heading the ball up in the air. But even if he goes out wide there was no players there either, so it would have just gone out harmlessly for a throw-on. I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know why you would ever head the ball down in your own box. And look, I am blaming him, so I'm not taking any of the blame away from him. But that goal is a whole catalogue of errors. It starts from Socrates letting the ball bounce when there was no real pressure. Koscielny then headers it down. Guendouzi takes one of the most horrific touches, I think, of the game. Mustafi dives in on Anderson when he doesn't need to, then gets booked. They put the cross in and the corner comes from that. I know that's a whole string of events that lead to the goal. And Granite's is without doubt the major mistake. But there's 4 or 5 players there that have made errors leading to the goal, and all of them could have been avoided.
Well, there was I blame Granite myself, but there was a case on that phase of play. The corner came in, and I think it was Lacazette. He just touched it back, and it went back out to Philippe Anderson, who come down and put it across, hit Granite's head, and bounced back in the middle. There's a few people saying, which surprised me in the Arsenal forums, that Lacazette probably should have cleared the ball as well. I still blame Granite.
I think his was probably the hardest of all the clearances because there was space on the ball. Probably should have done better, but I think his was the most difficult of them all.
Yeah. So that was about the game, boys. Unless you boys want to add anything, we can talk about. There's a couple of subs. Bellerin came on in the 69th minute. Tuera came on for Granite in the 59th minute, and then Ramsey come on for Mustafi in the 59th minute. All pretty, standard for you, Schwinn. By this stage, I was fucking dumbfounded at what Emery was even doing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the bench, it was obvious who was going to come on. It just wasn't obvious who was going to go off. And with the game Granite was having, that's pretty much a straight swap in there. I mean, Guendouzi didn't have the best of games, but he seemed a bit more comfortable. Granite just looked quite phased yesterday. I'm not sure what's going on. He looked leggy, couldn't quite string passes. Even 5 yards, 10 yards, which he can usually play with his eyes closed in a dark stadium, were just not coming off yesterday. Aaron Ramsey came on and instantly found himself in between the lines and was able to receive passes from Torreira, turn and try to find one of the wing backs. But in the final third, we just didn't take a couple of passes here and there behind the lines. Kolasinac called offside when he really shouldn't be in acres of space. There's no one marking him there. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I think that's someone we should talk about because he looked. I mean, I don't know if it's arrogance. I don't know if he's just calm and collected, but he looks disinterested at times. And maybe Tony is a bit more, a better place to comment on that. But with Ainsley, I feel that it's either it could be nonchalance, but to me, it just, stinks of disinterest. And I wasn't impressed by the way he played yesterday either.
I'm glad you brought that up because one of my friends texted me at half time and said, what's going on with Ainsley? He's been terrible, which no one can argue with, but he also looks disinterested. And I said, look, I can't argue with him being terrible, but I wouldn't say disinterested. And because obviously I can see him off the ball. I didn't think that at all. But as I said, someone's texted me and said that. I then watched the highlights last night, and he did. I don't know if it's just a case of what was shown on camera made it look worse than it was. No, because you could see him looking disappointed when he gave away the ball and he was trying hard. Again, it was an awful game, but I don't think he did look disinterested. But I have to agree with what people saw on TV, because when I saw it on TV, I thought exactly the same. If I'd have seen it the other way around and saw the TV before live, which obviously isn't possible, I probably would have thought the same. But being at the game, I didn't really get that impression. As I said, he was bad, I'm not defending him, but I don't think he looked disinterested.
Mm-hmm. He's had a couple of bad games now, hasn't he?
He seems to sort of be having one good, one bad at the moment. But then he's changing roles every week, and again, I don't defend him, but he's playing high up as one of the wide three against Liverpool. Then he's at full back in a 4. Then he's at wing back in a 5. The only position he ain't played is centre midfield, and that's where he plays.
He's all over the fucking shop. On that, and Schwinn brought it up, with the subs, I know Granite had a bad game, I'm not defending him here, but because it was one of his fucking piss-poor games. But we also have recognised that he does play really well with Torreira. Do you're 1-0 down, he come off in the 59th minute. We know he plays good with Torreira. Do you think that may have Guendouzi come off? Was that a bit of a shock for you, Tony? You thought it was going to be a Granite swap for Torreira?
To be honest, with the two players coming on, no one had a clue who was going off in the ground. Because obviously it was Mustafi and Xhaka in the end. I think, it's a bit of a catch-22 with who came off there, because Guendouzi, although I didn't think he was great, was having a much better game than Granit, who was poor. But Granit plays better with Torreira. So there was justification for either one. And if it doesn't work, as it didn't yesterday, then you're going to go, it should have been the other one. It's difficult, because basing on their 59 minutes we'd seen, Guendouzi was well ahead of Xhaka, and there's no debate there. But it is a tough one, and you know what I mean? You live and die by the result. If we go on to win that game, it's the right decision. We didn't go on to win it, so it's the wrong decision. I think that's just one of them. He's got to make a 50-50 call, and either way, he could be wrong or he could be right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know who was coming. I originally thought Guendouzi, because that's what he usually does, but I didn't have a clue. But yeah. It's going to be hard to pick a man of the match, boys. I'll go with you, Schwinn, man of the match.
I mean, I'm just going to say, I think Iwobi had the best game out of any of our players. I mean, it was still a 7 on 10. You could argue maybe less than that, but he was the best player on the pitch. Obviously, the man of the match has to go to someone from West Ham. Take your pick. I don't give a fuck. But it was just very sad seeing some of the players play the way they did. Aubameyang couldn't get involved at all other than the first 10 minutes. Lacazette struggled a lot with his touch. Again, he had a chance the first 10 minutes, which he basically put into row Z. And Ainsley, obviously, we spoke about. I thought Granit had a bad game as we spoke. And everyone else pretty much struggled. I don't think anyone stood out other than Iwobi, who tried to make an impact with some neat balls around the corner. And he really drove at players. But with the whole squad struggling, you could see Iwobi struggling at the end as well. It's a team sport. You sort of pick your players, pick your teammates and show them that motivation. And yesterday it just didn't work for anyone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, I agree with you. Iwobi's for me. However, and you said West Ham, take your pick, but for me, and Tony touched on it, Rice. But I also thought Nasri, in his first game back, as well as Anderson, mate, that three were fucking dangerous. And I could see it on the TV. I presume Tony was probably thinking the same in the ground. But fucking Emery should have come out at least half time and said, we've got to shut these fucking three down. Because they were the ones who were looking very, very dangerous for me. But Iwobi, I agree with you, Schwinn. He was probably the standout for the Arsenal. Tony?
I thought Iwobi was really bad in the first half, and because he was the only one trying anything. And when you're the only one trying anything, when it goes wrong, it becomes your fault. So I think he was bad, but for the right reason, if that kind of makes sense. And in the second half, I thought he was quite good. So yeah, I would go Iwobi. Although I can see there was in the ground a lot of criticism in the first half, and you can kind of see why. But at least he was trying to do something. For me, Rice was the man of the match, and I thought a lot of people are going on about Nasri, and I thought he was just okay. Like, he was good. I didn't think he was brilliant. I thought Anderson looked very good. Anderson looked very, very good, but I mean, Rice was man of the match.
Yeah. Look, Nasri wasn't until about the 20th minute until he took him a little bit to get into the and that, and I thought, fucking hell, why couldn't he come back to Arsenal? Okay, so that's that game done and dusted. Let's get into, before we take some questions, because we've got heaps of questions to get through, boys. I want to touch on some transfers quickly. Tony, so Dennis Suarez, he looks like he's one that Noam's been yakking around. So we'll go on him first, mate. They're talking, Emery's fucking sending mixed signals everywhere. He come out last week and said, we can only sign players on loan. Then he's come out after the West Ham match and he's basically said, we will be bringing in players. At a scale of 1 to 10, do you think this Dennis Suarez will go through on a loan, I'd imagine now?
Yeah, I'd imagine it'll be a loan with option to buy. I think it'll probably happen. Results like yesterday don't help because it strengthens the selling team's hand, because it now looks more like we need a player or 2 or 10.
10.
So yeah, that doesn't do us any favours. But I think, look, I don't know more than anyone else or less than anyone else, but just kind of reading between the lines from what I read, like coming out of both clubs and in papers and whatnot, I think Suarez is quite likely to happen, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was talking to you boys during the week because I was listening to a podcast. What was that, Sky News podcast? And they were actually talking about Dennis Suarez playing as right wing back. And I said to you guys, I never fucking remember him playing there for Barcelona. So I presume he'd take up, obviously, in as a right wing more so than a right wing back.
Yeah, he can play right wing. He can play in the middle. He can kind of play as a 10. He's a bit, not in terms of the way they play, but he's a bit like Ramsey in that he can fill in a few positions. I think he came on Barcelona's cup game. They lost 2-1 and he won a penalty. He came on the right wing and he won the penalty. I don't think I've ever seen Barca play a back five ever. So I know, look, you sent us the recording of that podcast, so I know you're not making it up. But I don't know really where they've got that he can play as a wing back from. Look, he may be able to, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, no either. Okay, who else we got? Yannick. I'm not even going to pronounce where he's fucking from. Some Chinese fucking
Belgium. Belgium.
Yeah, he's from Belgium, but what's the Chinese team, Tony?
I don't even know who it is.
Some fucking... Who is
Everyone just says China, do you know what I mean? When you're buying someone or you're selling someone to the Chinese league, it's just like, oh, they're going to China. No one really cares. But, like,
no one cares.
Because it's not football that anyone watches, no one cares. Like,
yeah, nah. Do you think that deal will go through?
I think there's a chance. He wants out of China. He's seemingly willing to drop his wages because he'll be on astronomical money out there. The transfer thing's a bit worrying because would they accept a loan with an option to buy? Maybe, if he wants out that much. Not an option to buy, an obligation to buy, sorry. They probably would because they probably don't need the money. I think we'll face competition for him. And let's be honest, we're not offering the most attractive of propositions to both the club in terms of having a loan with an obligation, or to him. I would assume people would offer him more money. So I think there's a chance it will happen, but I'd probably be more likely to think Suarez will happen. There's a chance of them both, but I just think Carrasco, there'll be a lot more a lot more competition, and I don't think we're in a great place. I think he's someone in his I think it was his wife. I read a tweet, so it may be completely unsourced and it may be bullshit, but I read a tweet just before we started recording with his wife saying we want to get out of China and we've had offers from Arsenal and Man United. Again, could be absolute nonsense. I didn't read the link or anything. I was just scrolling through Twitter quickly.
Mm-hmm. I think Man United would be a tough gig for anybody to like, and I'm only saying bringing them up because I'm thinking what can we offer. But, it's got to be tough for Man United because if you pick an Arsenal Man United, who's going to be the manager next year? At least you know who's at Arsenal. You've got Aubameyang, Lacazette. As though we sit here and say we have no fucking idea what Emery's doing, but I don't know, maybe for players they're going, well, we watch Arsenal week in, week out, maybe for players they're going, well, that team are looking at doing something in the future I want to be a part of, so...
Also, they're in the Champions League. They'll pay more. So apparently, I've just pulled up the tweet. It was in the Metro, which is probably one of the least reliable newspapers in England. But his wife says, Arsenal United are interested. They want to leave China. The direct quote is being called by a lot of clubs. A lot of clubs are interested. Nothing has been signed. When asked about Arsenal, she said, yes, they are very interested. I'm not going to hide it, but nothing is signed.
Okay. We'll see what comes out of that. So on another one, going out, obviously Ramsey, it's no secret there. However, it's going to be a bit of a shock if he goes in January. I read 18 million, but you said they're looking at a swap deal.
So a lot of the rumours here this morning are that Ramsey will have if he goes this window, it will be in a swap for Mehdi Benatia, who's obviously a centre back, played for Bayern Munich, Juventus, Roma, I believe. I don't know anything about it. It's just a rumour I've seen here this morning.
Mm-hmm. Would you rather him or the 18 million?
To be honest, probably the player, just because. What do you spend 18 million on these days? What does it get you? And we need a centre-back. Benatia has been, as the clubs I've just listed are all top draw. That doesn't mean he is, or he still is, and he's obviously getting on.
Yep.
I would prefer, if Sven had identified a centre-back who was sort of under 25 for 18 million that he thinks could play, I'd prefer that. So it all depends on what the club have identified, what I'd prefer, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, as I said, I would prefer someone that you could buy for that 18 million who's younger and maybe not as good now, but has the potential to be a hell of a lot better. But you don't know if the club have identified that player or if that player exists, because, as I said, 18 million really isn't a lot of money anymore, unless you're buying someone from Arsenal when you could probably buy a whole team for about 18 million because we're terrible at selling players.
Well, it goes back. Me and Schwinn were having a discussion on our WhatsApp group during the week about these players. There's another player, who he's either going to leave for free or he's going to leave in this window with some swap deal or some desperation fucking thing like we did with Sanchez. It's about time, and Schwinn, you were pretty vocal on other things as well. I said, it's about time Arsenal fucking pull their socks up, whether it be the old regime's fault or the new regime's fault, and start sorting out these contracts 18 months out.
They have to. And look, we can talk about whose mistake it is. I think labeling one particular regime, as is the case, might not be the right thing. I think you have to look at it in each case individually. But it's draining us at this point. And for a club that is self-sustaining and at the moment really struggling apparently to generate cash that can be spent on transfers is a worry. And at that point, you have to internalize some of these issues that have been caused. The likes of Jack Wilshere, Aaron Ramsey, of course, now Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil ran his contract down, and we've obviously been in a situation now that is a pickle where the manager and the player aren't seemingly getting along. for a self-sustaining club, this is nonsense. This is unacceptable because it's affecting performances on the field, and there has to be some consensus. The good thing is that this summer we're obviously going to lose some players if we don't extend contracts, where we'll end up saving 560,000 a week, which can be reinvested somewhere else. But we're still losing money, we're still losing value. And that's not something we can tolerate at this point. So there has to be some sort of introspection on this, because it's high time. And Sun Leahy came in and he said that this is something we're going to sort out. But I haven't really seen anything thus far, and I'm hoping things will change.
Yeah, you and me both, mate. It's fucking just a joke. Just watching these players leave for free just pisses me off, to be honest. And, whether this deal comes through of Ramsey with, some swap deal with Juve or bloody 18 mil, whatever the case is, it's almost another fucking desperado bid. Like, let's say 18 months out of his contract, Tony, he'd be worth around the 50, 60, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I'd imagine that's what you'd be looking at.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Okay, well, that's about it. That's all we've got, unless you want to add anything else, Tony, on the transfers. But we've only got really them two names, haven't we?
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't seem like a hell of a lot more that we can talk about.
No. So we will get into some questions. Oliver Davies, he threw a couple in our email. You can email us anytime. clockandtalk@gmail.com, so you can get your questions in any time, and we'll always check before we do a podcast. So Oliver says, Tony, there is a school of thought that Emery isn't an elite manager. Yes, he won the league with PSG, but also blew the first attempt, losing a 2-horse race to Monaco whilst throwing away the 4-0 win over Barcelona in the Champions League. He goes on. He says, "We did all."
That's not that question, or
no? I'm just saying. There was more. Sorry. We did also spend close to 70 million last summer, and whilst only 6 months in, would expect to see at least some improvements in defence. The question is whether, after rebuilding the team in the image after three-quarter transfer windows, whether he has the tactical edge style to take on the elite Premier League managers and outthink, Pep, Poch and Klopp.
I think this comes down to, I wouldn't say he's an elite manager, but it's all going to come down to what your definition of elite is. I mean, everyone knows that my definition of world class is probably a hell of a lot harsher than everyone else's, and elite is the manager version of world class in my head. And he's won Europe's second tier competition. I'm not taking away from him. He's done very good jobs, but elites are multiple league winners in tough leagues to winning the Champions League. That, for me, that's elite. The names are I hate Mourinho, but he's won 2 or 3 Champions League. He's won titles in 4 countries, I believe. Guardiola's won the league with Barcelona, which isn't a 1-horse race. He's won the Champions League. He's won the league in Bayern Munich, which maybe is a 1-horse race. He came and dominated the league here, if we're honest. For me, that's elite. I can't put Emery in that bracket, but again, that's my definition of elite.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. When I look at Ancelotti and managers like you said there, and I think that's when you're talking elite. So I don't know, Emery. I don't know if I put Poch in at elite though. Fuck me, what's he won?
No, I wouldn't. I think he's done an unbelievable. If I'm gonna have to give him credit, I think he's done a great job. I wouldn't say elite,
yes, yeah.
But he's done an unbelievable job. Look, again with Emery, I don't think you look at anywhere he's been and say, wow, he's done so much better than expected. Potentially in winning the Europa Leagues with Sevilla, but then if you look at the league seasons with Sevilla, he didn't do brilliant. So it's not like he's done unbelievable on all fronts. Whereas Pochettino and Klopp's probably in this same bracket where they haven't won huge amounts, but you go, wow, they've done unbelievable. They've massively improved that side. Whereas, did Emery improve at Sevilla? Really? Yes, there's an argument, but it's a bit 50-50. Did he improve PSG? Most would argue not.
No,
I mean, he got Neymar and he didn't, but he got given Neymar and Mbappe, so they probably naturally improved. But did he make them closer to winning the Champions League? No, they were already winning the league anyway. So again, I'm not trying to take it away from him, but it's just I don't class him in the same category as them guys.
Mm-hmm. You think it's? I don't know. I could go on all day with this, but do you think it's a money thing? Like Emery's, he's nowhere on as much wages as a so-called elite manager, and I'm just thinking I might get a bit of criticism here because nobody will want him, but like for me, Louis van Gaal, he's up there with elite. Whether he's past it now or not, I don't know, but I'd imagine he's kind of wages or an Ancelotti. Would be a lot higher than an Emery.
It depends, because obviously there's what everyone calls the Premier League tax. So Emery's probably on more than Ancelotti is at Napoli. I'd be very surprised if he's not. Probably on similar to what Allegri's on. They'll almost certainly be on more than Niko Kovac at Bayern. They're all definitely on more than Solari at Real Madrid. So it's... I think wages in terms of eliteness are kind of relative to where you're doing your work, because you'll probably find, I don't know, to pick a name, but there's probably a manager that's somewhere. Marco Silva's probably on more at Everton than a lot of the managers that are towards the top end of clubs in Italy, Spain, and Germany.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point actually. Yeah. Okay. Aaron says the Ozil debate is about finance. Is it that we can't afford his contract at the moment? Saving appearance fees. I don't think there is appearance fees, is it, Tony?
I don't know. I'd be amazed if there is, usually with big players' contracts, because when you're signing someone like Ozil, it's expected that he plays every week. Like when we re-signed him, he was signed as our marquee player, our best player, in a sense, the one to be on the team around. So why would they wouldn't even bother putting an incentive that he's playing, because it would just be seen as a given. You play, like. So it's very rare with top end players you get appearance fees. I know Tottenham tend to do it, but that's because they don't pay big money as a base wage. It's kind of their way of giving their players somewhat contracts that they should be getting anyway. But in general, big players don't have appearance fees. Okay,
it's reported £350,000 a week. Is that about right?
Yeah, between 300 and 350. Obviously, the image rights come into it, which is where it gets a bit murky. But yeah, between 300 and 350. I think 350 is the one we hear the most, but then obviously it's the highest, and that's what tends to get reported is the stuff that makes the biggest headline. Okay.
Ramsey's leaving, yet he plays openly, said by Emery. He is leaving. Doesn't make sense. Staff told recently to save cost. We can't afford to buy but loan. Fits the agenda. You want to add anything to that, Schwinn?
Not really. I mean, I can understand the thought process there. I don't think that's the reason that we're not playing Mesut Ozil. An appearance fee is not something that we're going to try and cut corners on if that's the difference between a win and a loss, or even a draw for that matter. So it is a bit baffling when you see Aaron Ramsey leaving on a free or leaving in general, and he's still getting more minutes than a Mesut Ozil who we're tied down to in the long term. As I said, it's very counterintuitive and counterproductive. I don't understand what Emery's trying to play at here. And as Tony said on Twitter and on here, that it's a battle that he's not going to win. And at the end of the day, he's punishing himself by doing that. So, I should mention that John Champion, who was calling the game yesterday, mentioned that there were murmurs from the Arsenal camp, despite Mesut Ozil training for the full week, that he's still suffering from a knee issue. And that's possible that's the reason he was not included yesterday. But then Emery comes out in the press conference and says that these are the players that deserve to come. I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do here.
They also, the Arsenal camp told Sky before the game that he was fit and it was tactical reasons.
Yeah, so I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Just put him on the bench. If you don't want to start him, that's fine. Put him on the bench. He can be an impact player. He can do something knowing the opposition, since he's played in the Premier League, and with his quality that some of the other players just won't do. And it's very, very strange how Emery's operating right now, and it has to change because it's hurting us in many ways.
Yeah, very, very fucking weird, to be honest. Just going through fucking some stuff. Oh, actually, Schwinn, what was your thoughts? As you know, and as a fan, because I was a bit devo, but what's your take on why Emery would come out and say we can't afford players, but we can only loan players?
I mean, I think another question that I meant to ask you guys, and I was hoping to maybe bring this up later, is when you guys were talking about transfers, where is Sven? Where is he? Denis Suarez is a known entity. I know he's not been playing at Barcelona, but he's a known person. Same about Carrasco. We know he wants to leave, and we know he's going to face some tougher competition when it comes to him. But the reason we brought in Sven was so that we can go after these untouched diamonds and refine them, and have to pay less for players like that than shop around players who are better known.
I'll let Tony. He'll probably add a bit more than what I will. But my thoughts on what you just said, Schwinn, is maybe he's more of a I'm going to wait till summer. If Emery needs a couple of players now in January just to fill in or something along them lines, but come in the summer we're going to release a few more players. We're going to have a lower wage bill, and that's when I'm going to bring in this, and this. That's just my thoughts. But Tony?
I disagree with what most people think he was brought in for. Yes, look, finding them rough gems is brilliant, but I think he was brought in to find players that add value, and that's the long and short of it. And if you're getting Suarez, who wants out and is unwanted, and the same with Carrasco in China, then their value will be slightly lower than it probably should be. So they come in, they have 6 good months, and you add 5-10 million on their price tag. There you go, value added, and it's very easy. So in a way, I know we're thinking of the gems as like the Dembeles, the Pulisic's, the Kagawas, but in their own way, these deals are that kind of thing where you're getting a player for probably less than his value, adding to that value, and then you've got an asset that you're in profit on. And I think more than anything, that's Sven's job. It's not just about finding the Guendouzi's. I think Torreira is probably a prime example. You could arguably say, well, you could definitely say, I think if we were to sell him right now, you're looking at 40 million plus. So he wasn't a cheap player. It was between 25 and 30 million, but we've already added value and we're in profit on him. And I think that's what Sven's brought in to do. And that's why I think people like Suarez and Carrasco make perfect sense.
Oh, I think a Guendouzi, you could nearly add him. He'd have to be 20 million now. Value?
Yeah, there's an argument to say, but again, I mean, he kind of fits into the other mode of thinking where you buy someone young that's not particularly well known.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas I'm going with these guys; they are known, and Guendouzi's, I think, the type of person that everyone expected Sven to sign. But as I said, I think his job is more just to add value, because if we're going to be self-sufficient, you're going to need to sell players for more than what you buy them for. So if you buy a Carrasco for the rumoured fee of 18 million, he has a good year and a half. In a year and a half, he'd be 26, maybe just 27, and worth 30, 35, 40 million. So you're buying, it's basic business economics. You buy low, you sell high. It doesn't mean that you have to buy an unknown and take a huge risk. I would probably say that someone like Suarez and Carrasco are less risk, because as Schwinn said, they're kind of known entities, but they're known entities at a bit of a cut down price, it seems.
Yeah, I agree with what you say. I'm just going to, and you boys know that I follow Roma, and so I think Monchi is, like, and we all talk about Sven, but Monchi for me is, I think he's a lot better. Dennis Van Looy, he's not a scout, but he knows how to manage a club and find these players. And look what he's done at Roma, and the players that he's brought in there. Like, they're players that, or Salah wasn't brought in by Monchi, but Salah was released by Monchi through Liverpool, and there's probably about 5 or 6 players in that Roma team now that he bought for fuck all, and will sell for, they could get up to 80 million. Like, that's, for me, if Sven's going to go down that mould, I don't know if, players like Dennis Suarez for 30 million in 2 years down the track is where you want to type of your head, is it?
Well, it's
I know it's a profit,
but
it's a profit, but
yeah, no, I mean, but you need a best of both. You can't just keep buying young players and hoping they all work, because you end up with a load of Guendouzi's. And nothing against Guendouzi, he looks very talented, but everyone knows he shouldn't be playing week in, week out. And Roma do a bit of that. I mean, it's well known they were the heaviest at chasing Mahrez when he was valued at around 40 million the year before he went to City. They thought they had it.
They wanted Malcolm as well, so he
again, for 40 odd million. So they do both. I mean, I don't know what the exact fee is, but they didn't get Kluivert on the cheap. But
I got me. I can't remember now. Yeah,
but it wasn't cheap.
No, it wasn't cheap. No, it wasn't.
So again, they're working on the same prospect that, okay, whatever you pay for a player, just add value to that player, whether it be a £1 million player or a £40 million player.
But yeah, Salah and Nangolan basically that spurred them right on. So, but yeah, no, it's interesting because I'd like to see Arsenal, and Sven and this new regime that everyone talks about to, I don't know, reduce this wage bill is obviously one, like blokes like Janko and things who are there. I think, fuck, what are you fucking doing? So I hope you're right, Schwinn, come next summer that, what'd you say, 500 odd we're going to be saving or something, wasn't it? So that'll be good.
Yeah, that's the figure that's been floating around. I mean, the only reason I brought this up was because, so that we can talk about what Sven's job is. And look, if it's the way Tony seems to think, then I can understand that. But to your point, Taz, about us saving our resources for the summer, I don't think that quite makes sense, especially if we're going with the preconceived notion that he's in there to look for younger, unrefined gems, because we need to maximize our value right now in terms of the money we're spending. And I don't think Suarez and Carrasco are typical examples of that. And the reason I brought this whole thing up was because of the comment you mentioned by Emery. I think it makes sense to an extent if you don't have money, or if you have very little money, to say things like that in the public, because if you're in the loan market and you're trying to stay away from the purchaser market, then it makes sense to make those comments. But at the same time, it's best not to mention those things and keep it on the hush-hush, because the way fans react is very different to how different clubs react. And I know the club won't give a shit about what fans are saying on Twitter, but when the results aren't going your way, then it's another stick to beat the club with, and that's exactly what's happening right now.
Oh, it's a fucking weird thing to come out and say, to be honest, but he come out and said it, so that's got me fucked. Got me absolutely fucked. Gunnar Dave, he says, let's wait for everyone to start battering Emery. And then Schwinn, he's had a bit of a discussion with him, so no waiting there, already on it, says Schwinn, come at me. So you can fucking hit at AFC Schwinn up. You ready to take on, mate?
Well, it's kind of... Go on,
yes. I was just going to say, look, I have nothing against Emery, and I'm not Emery out. But, sometimes, and I've seen tweets saying Kroenke out. I've seen tweets bashing Wenger, as Tony pointed out to me yesterday. We can talk about all that, and I think to an extent it's fair. But on the day, I don't think anyone can argue that Emery got this wrong. And I think we've seen this a few times. We've seen it coming as well. I said a few months ago that I think things are going to get a lot worse before things get better. So it wasn't as if I wasn't prepared for this. But when so many small things go wrong, and to Tony's point, when he knows the club, he knows the players, he prepared a dossier on it, for God's sake. you don't expect these small things to go wrong, and that's when I'm battering Emery, to use Gunnar Dave's word, because I don't think his performance yesterday is defensible in any regard. So that's my only malice with Emery at this point. Yesterday, and some other performances, I'm not Emery out. I don't think any sane fan is at the moment.
Go on, Tony.
Well, I was just going to say that we keep seeing especially on Twitter, this point that you can't criticise him. It's not because we hate him or because we want him out, but if something isn't right, if something's going wrong, then we have to pull it up in the same way that we have to praise him if things go well. So I've seen like all people moaning, these fans don't know what we wanted Wenger out for years and now they're moaning about the next guy. I don't think anyone's seriously long-term moaning about him, but when some things go wrong or they're as baffling as they were yesterday, you have to question it. You can't just give someone a free ride. And what keeps coming into my head is, I mean, I don't know, obviously the Premier League wasn't as worldwide then, but can you imagine, I don't even know if you guys know the story, Bruce Rioch came in, really wanted to get rid of Ian Wright, didn't like him. Imagine we had the same fans now that we had then, that would just blindly back in the new manager, give him a chance. We'd have lost Ian Wright, so he doesn't go on to become a club legend. He doesn't go on to become our all-time record scorer. He doesn't win the double with us. We get some striker from Bolton, which is who Rioch wanted to replace him with. Like, this has happened before at our club, and the fans' views are very different then. Why has everything changed? Like, if you can see something that you consider to be a stupid or dumb decision, you have to call it out. It's sort of your duty as a fan. We're not... Look, yes, we all support and love the club, but surely we're not all blind sheep that just nod and say yes to everything the club do. And it amazes me that the same people that seem to be saying, back Emery, everything he does is right, so they're basically blindly backing the club, are the same people that go and fuck Kroenke, get him out, he's doing everything wrong. If you're going to have blind loyalty, have it the whole way through.
Yeah, I don't get it. Mate, look, I don't know. I don't get it. Fans, as you said, we have a right to speak. I was going to add a bit on Kroenke, but I don't really want to go down that path, so I'll fucking stick away from it.
There's got to be a question on it. Yeah, there'll be a question on it. That's why I've kind of held my tongue on it. I've not looked. I assume there's a question on it.
Yeah, okay. I haven't looked either, but yeah, I was going to fucking... MAA Gunner, he said this every week, Schwinn, and he says it again today. Fuck Schwinn.
Why is that? I've missed all this. He hasn't tagged me in any of these.
No, I've been reading them on the podcast every week. Fuck Schwinn.
Fuck you.
Hey, we were nice to you all the time too, just quietly.
Yeah, you guys booted me and then realized after a few weeks that we need him back, so joke's on you, buddy.
Fighting a battle we couldn't win, right?
Yeah, exactly. He also says fuck West Ham. And look, there's some of these questions and quotes and that are pretty raw, because we did put the thread up 5 minutes after the game, so some people may have had a bit of time to settle down and think about things, but we seem to get the best out of people and the best, their opinions when we put it up straight after the games. So, MAA Gunner, how does the team have to play for Emery to realise Ozil has to play? I think we've pretty much covered that one, haven't we, boys? Brad's... fucking hell, there's stuff here everywhere, boys. Brad's... Was anyone shocked to see that our owner had put zero money in the club, but yet the media each year would lie and say Wenger has 200 million to spend? Surely lies by the media was a big point in turning the fans against the previous manager. I'll go with you, Tony.
That is a very, very good point. I am not one of these people that think Kroenke is to blame for everything. I think we've known we're on a self-sustained model, and up until August of this year, so that until the last transfer window had ended, he'd only taken 3 million out of the club. I keep seeing people saying, I don't know if they're just assuming or they don't know or they're guessing, Kroenke's taking all the money. As I said, up until August, he'd only taken 3 million. Now the accounts are private, no one knows, and he could have siphoned loads out of the club, but we don't know. So it's not that he's taken the money. We're just running on a self-sufficient model, as we all know. I think the thing with self-sufficiency, you have to invest once, and then you take that money out and the club becomes self-sufficient, because you have to start from somewhere. Under Kroenke's ownership, we've signed, I know it was joint, but we've signed Ozil, we've signed Sanchez, we've signed Lacazette, we've signed Aubameyang, we've given huge contracts to Ozil, Aubameyang, Mkhitaryan, Lacazette. So maybe he has invested once, and he's not seeing a return on that investment, and now's the time he's taking it out. So we're kind of seeing less of a transfer budget than we should have. I think it's huge negligence from the people beneath him, whether that be Wenger, Emery, Gazidis, whoever it was, in letting contracts run down. We've seen no return on any of the big investments we've made. The only player we've kind of made a profit on in the last few years is Chamberlain, but how many years did we have to hold on to him to make that profit? As I said, look, I don't want a sugar daddy owner particularly, and I don't see a huge amount with what Kroenke's done wrong, to be honest.
And look, and this is where I type it held my tongue a little bit, so I'm glad you agreed with it, what I was going to say as well. I see these people saying...
because I thought you would be the exact opposite. I thought it'd be you I'd be arguing.
No. I see this Kroenke out and I think, what has he done wrong? I don't get it. Like, is it because he's not a Manchester City owner and he's not pumping 100 million in each year? Is that why people want him out? I don't get it. I didn't follow Arsenal because I go, oh, they're a Manchester City club and they're going to spend 100 million and bring in 300 million or whatever the case is every fucking summer transfer window, like a sugar daddy owner and blah, blah, blah. So I see this Kroenke out and think, I'm not overly sure what Kroenke has done, if that makes sense. Is that what he has done wrong? He hasn't spent 200 million this window.
People seem to think he's taking money out of the club, and as I said, when the accounts were produced, which they no longer are, it was 3 million he'd taken out, which, look, and they're not a huge amount. Like, what does 3 million get you? 2 months of Mesut Ozil? Not even, I don't think. So,
but with all due respect, isn't he the bloke fucking keeping the light on? Isn't he the bloke paying the bill?
Well, no, because it funds itself. Okay, and I think that's probably where more of the grievances are.
Okay.
The potential issue now is people think, and whether they're right or wrong, I have no idea, he's obviously got a bit of a loan to pay for the remaining shares he bought in August, which took the club private. No one now knows if he's using the profits Arsenal make to pay back the loan, which means the club is basically paying for itself, but he gets all the credit. And then, in which case, that would leave us with less money, because what the money produced is going back to pay for the club, not on where it should be. But no one knows that. So we can only deal with what we know. And up until August, he hadn't taken anything. Well, 3 million, which, as I said, for me and you, 3 million is a huge amount. For Schwinn, not so much. But in the terms of football, 3 million is pocket change.
Yeah. Schwinn, I'm going to get your thoughts on it, because me and Tony are on the same boat here.
Well, firstly, 3 million is a lot of money for me as well. So let's just get that out of the way, right?
Couple bills, right?
It's 2 months of Mesut Ozil. That's a lot of money for me, I'd say. But I agree with you guys. Look, before anyone, I was the one who was, talking about how Stan Kroenke is not to blame for this. When the takeover happened, I, of course, wrote an article that spoke about how this could actually be a good thing. And, in the short term, obviously, it hasn't been so far, but we don't know how it's going to pan out long term. And these things pan out long term. It's not about the short term strategy when you buy a football club. My issue with the media getting involved is twofold. I think what you guys spoke about is very clear and very correct. But I think at the same time, 200 million is something that was probably available to Wenger. But transfers is the last priority, because it's what you have disposable at the end of all your expenses. You have to pay your current players, you have to pay the staff of the football club, which is massive at a club like Arsenal. And then you have, obviously, debt that has been accumulated over years with the Emirates and other things that get involved. So at the end of all your expenses is what you have left. And I doubt whether that was, at any time sufficient to buy more than one big player. I think that is when we were able to buy the likes of Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil, when we were able to splash some of this cash on Mustafi, on Granit Xhaka. I think that's where you have to talk about whether that was the right purchase. I'd argue Mustafi 30 million was, basically shooting yourself in the foot. And I don't think many people would disagree with that. So I think the media were probably correct when they said that he has 200 million. But it's the term war chest which was misleading, because everyone assumed that it's all there to be spent on transfers, which was never the case. It was what was left to take care of every other expense that we had, and then the leftover was for transfers. I think long term we'll be fine because Adidas is coming in. We'll get a bit more cash injection. I think someone like Emery will be in a position to get a Champions League football with a solid squad. But the only question is, how much time does it take for the football club to reach that level, to reach Champions League, which is an additional 40 million a year, which is make or break for us because our owner does not put in money. I too agree with the self-sustaining model. I do not have a problem with that, but it has to bring results. And if that is the reason that we are not getting where we need to as a football club, then we can debate that. But I think it's too early just yet to argue the pros and cons of that.
Also, as well, there's a big theory going around, and I don't know how true it is. I've not done the numbers. The reason we can't sign is to do with financial fair play and us reaching our 7 million per year. I know we've got a bit of a question on it, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But us reaching our maximum allowed on top of the wage bill. If that is the case, and we probably won't find this out until the summer. We obviously, as Schwinn said, have the extra money from the Adidas deal coming in. The sponsorship will deal with the Emirates is changing, has been re-agreed. So that will go up from the summer. So I think we'll probably find out a hell of a lot more in the summer.
Tony, you might be, and I don't know, there might be some listeners out there, but so Kroenke, if he's putting in 200 million out of his own money each transfer window, and I presume that's what people want him to do, because if we're not self-sustainable, I fucking don't know where you're going to get your money from. But Leeds United, they obviously fell off the castle many years ago. And I vaguely remember it was something about the chairman took out large loans against the club and things like that, and the club almost went belly up or something. And obviously they dropped right down. Is that, are people worried about that may happen? Something like that, is it, or what?
I can't. Everyone, I think, just looks at what's on the pitch and sees that if we spend 200 and 300 more, we'd obviously be better. And I think that's the start and end of their argument. I don't think anyone's thinking anything beyond that. They just think, well, if we signed X, Y, and Z, they'd be better than X, Y, and Z who we've already got. And that's it. But
I was just thinking when you say people are worried about Stan taking money out of the club, is that what?
Oh no, that's because if you're self-sufficient, the money's always going to be a little bit tight because you can only spend what you earn.
Yeah.
But if then you're spending what you earn on something else, then that leaves even less to spend on the club. And it's also like if he is doing that, which I don't believe he is, but if he is, he's not brought the club himself because he's paid for it and then taking the money out, that's basically just paying him back. And that's the worry. Because he's brought the club to say 2 billion, but then if he let's make it really drastic. This is not what's happening, but let's just to make it clear. He's brought the club for 2 billion. He sells our players for 2 billion and then keeps the money. So he's got this club. He's got the shiny stadium in North London, real estate that's very expensive. He's got whatever squad of players he has left. He's essentially brought the club for nothing because he's taken that money out. That's the biggest fear.
And then what? Obviously, we end up down the relegation battle.
Well, you'd assume so. I mean, I guess there's probably a way. If you buy really smartly if Sven brings in these young talents and whatnot, then there's probably an argument to say you could do it and still maintain a top half, maybe a top 6 place. But as I said, I don't think that's the way he's going, but we'll never know because the accounts aren't published.
Oh,
but that is the worry, that he's. When people say he's taking money, I assume they're just talking about that rather than just taking money out of the club.
Yeah. Okay.
But we just purely don't know, and all we do know is he wasn't doing that up until August.
Yeah, if anyone's out there listening, I would, and you're a cronky out. I just would like to know what he's done wrong. Is it the fact that he's not putting his own 200 million in each transfer window and buying all the big players, or is it something else? Because I'm completely lost at why it's all cronky out. I don't get it. Okay, let's move on. Defence says our best games were Chelsea, Leicester, Liverpool and Tottenham. We've hardly looked good in most other games, irrespectively of results. We've lured into a sense of false promise and hope by that run. The football is actually shit. 3-4-2-1, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. Tactically, reasons be damned. So he's pissed.
I know that's not really a question, but I disagree with quite a lot of the games he said we were good in as well. I thought Chelsea we attacked well, defended like absolute clowns. Leicester we were good for 20 minutes. Tottenham and Liverpool we were good.
Yeah. Tottenham and Liverpool were good. Yeah.
There probably is other games that we're forgetting, but I don't. I've been saying this for a while. I don't think we've had a good 90 minutes this season. Arguably Liverpool.
We've started slow in just about every fucking game.
Well, apart from Tottenham, where we started fast and then had 15 minutes off at the end of the first half and went 2-1 down. But I don't think. I think Liverpool is probably the only good 90 minutes we've had.
Siddhartha, he says, has been Emery been getting away with results because of the players we had up front on the pitch? We are even worse defensively, even at set pieces. Schwinn?
I don't think it's just because of that, because as Tony said at the top of the pod, that we had a good attack and a bad defense, and now we don't have a good attack and we still have a bad defense. So I don't think it's necessarily just to, I don't think we can vindicate anyone at this point, including the manager, because the improvement on an individual level and as a systemic thing throughout the field is just not visible, and it gets very hard to get behind something when you can't see it. No one's saying Emery out, but at the moment the improvement is not drastic enough that we can speculate to something bright even at the end of the season. I think the Europa League is going to become very important very soon. We have some very testing fixtures that are coming up that could possibly decide our fate in the Premier League. We have United coming up, we have City coming up, Chelsea, of course, next weekend. These are 6-pointers, one could argue. And if you're going to drop points against West Ham, then I don't think we should focus on the Premier League at this point. United has had a resurgence, and they seem to be on the up and up. And Chelsea continue to get points one way or the other, the way we were at the beginning of the season. So, we need to turn things around. And if we are unable to in the next month or so, then it's going to be Europa League all the way.
He goes on and says, I'm sad to say this, but I don't know what to expect of Arsenal Football Club. We bring on Ramsey to change the game, but we don't want him apparently. I can't get around my head with the decisions the coach and the club makes anymore. It is kind of shame this is happening. Hard to disagree, mate. Very hard to disagree.
I saw a tweet last night, and it's not exactly what I think, but it makes a lot of sense. And it was basically along the lines of, I don't really understand what Arsenal are doing. At least under Wenger, I had an attachment of what I knew and loved, whereas now you kind of feel a bit more distant. And I do kind of get where that's coming from.
Yeah, I get it. I get that. Absolutely.
And I think, it just reminded me when you was reading that question when he said, I don't really know where I am with the club. And I think a lot of people especially younger people, I mean, maybe someone Schwinn's age, I don't know if he remembers a manager before Wenger. So everything he's ever identified with Arsenal has now changed. And where there's been no improvement, it's like, well, that... I'm not putting words in Schwinn's mouth, but I had an identity, I had a feeling with that. Whereas now it's just like a bunch of new guys, which they will gain that identity and they will gain that feeling. But at the moment, it's just probably not there.
Sarvesh, now, boys, jump in here if you think of something, because there's about 10 different fucking tweets here. I don't know if they're questions or quotes. So, but thank you, Sarvesh, because we'd have nothing to do and talk about, mate, if you didn't add your opinion. So I was trying to control myself for the past few weeks, but here it comes. Told you it was coming, boys. We've had one win in the past 6 games, and it's all down to Emery's tactical decisions. If you ask me, no one can tell me that Ozil would have played worse than any of our forwards today. Still, we will have a club coming out covering for Emery's mistakes by saying that Ozil was having knee problems, when I just saw the tweet of Ozil saying he had a full week's training with the first team. Also, we bashed Wenger for our defence last season, and this season we have a worse defence, and it's suddenly the players' fault, but not the managers. Also, we have Torreira and Socrates, who are better players than we had last year. I am not saying we should all be Emery out, but the guy needs to sort out his feud with the club's best attacking midfielder. I don't care what happened with him and Neymar, but Ozil never really had any problems with any of the managers he has played with before. Also, I'm gonna say it, I don't think Emery is a good tactical manager as people say he is. Sometimes he makes changes for the fuck of it, and also gets the team wrong almost every week. Doesn't have a clear formation he wants to play, and doesn't have a fixed starting 11. It's been more than 6 months. Surely he... Tony, you Sarvesh. Surely he should have improved our team a little bit. That was my rant, and it's something I have been trying to contain for the last few weeks, and it was not just the rant because of the game. Do you guys see Emery at Arsenal for a long time? Because I don't. Emery on Ozil, I decided the player. Who are the best players for the match? Oh, this is Emery's press conference, okay. The only problem with that, the player he decided were not best for the match. This is turning into another Mourinho-Pogba fight. For fuck's sake, just sell Ozil if you don't want him so much. There you go, rant finished. Sarvesh, thank you, brother.
Just to confirm, no, I'm not him, but this podcast would have been a hell of a lot shorter if you just read that out at the start. I find it hard to disagree with pretty much anything he said. Like, it was straight after the game, and some of it's probably a bit stronger than what I'm feeling now. But if I would have written that at the start, like, if someone would have asked me to write it bang on the final whistle yesterday, it wouldn't have been far away from that.
I was thinking exactly the same when I was reading it. Fucking nah.
Can I just butt in and just say that way to go for being courageous and saying stuff like that on Twitter, because we all know that the Emery apologists are out there and making fun of people who are emotional at the end of the game and saying things in the spur of the moment. So way to go, and first of all, put yourself out there, Sarvesh. And secondly, I think he made a very good point about Emery just making subs for the sake of it every now and then. I think sometimes they've worked out and they've taken us by surprise, but I think he's being found out at the moment. He's trying to do things that are easily nullified by the opposition or simply don't work. And maybe that's something we haven't spoken about, or at least I haven't, since I've not been around. I don't know if you guys have touched upon this, but I think that's also a very good point. I wouldn't go as far as to say that he's tactically useless, because to an extent he probably doesn't have every player doing exactly what he wants them to do and the way that he wants them to do it. But he has made some gambles, and every now and then it's not a gamble that you would make if you knew the players in and out, coming back to the dossier point. So I think that there's a couple of observations in there that are very much on point.
No, I agree. Tony, but Just this is my question. What has changed since the 22 lucky wins, or I don't know what you call them, but the 22 undefeated to now?
Probably a bit of luck run out. I don't want to call them lucky wins, but we got away with a lot of the games where we could have lost or could have drawn and end up getting a win, and that's kind of run out. Teams have maybe figured us out. They didn't know what to expect of Emery. They didn't know that he would be someone that changed shape so often. So when he has, it was unexpected. Now everyone knows that. It's a bit, look, I always talk about second season syndrome, and when players are good in the first year and they tend to be worse in the second because everyone's figured them out and how they play. Emery's now played everyone once, and he's now played West Ham, Liverpool and Fulham twice. But now it's probably, in a way, his second season. I know it's not his second season, but his second half of the season syndrome. That now everyone knows what he's going to, not knows exactly what he's going to do, but they know he's likely to change things and they're ready for that. Whereas before, he was making changes to shape, and you could see the other teams didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how to react to it because they didn't know what was going on. And I think it's maybe teams getting more used to that.
Yeah, okay. Good point. MAA Gunner, he goes on with a couple here. Do you think it's better if we sign a winger who can okay as a striker? It's solving two problems at once. Can Carrasco play up front, Tony?
No, not really. I've never seen him play there. He's got a few of the attributes that he could, but I wouldn't really fancy it. It's an interesting one with a striker because I think ideally Emery only wants to play one of them, which means then you've got a very good backup in the other one, and then you've got a third tier one in Eddie at the moment, obviously with Welbeck basically out the door. And that's fine. The issue is where he's playing two of them, whether it be through choice or through fan power, he's got nothing. There's no change that we can make. You can bring Eddie on, who he obviously doesn't trust and probably hasn't earned trust. So I'm not bashing Emery for that, but I'm just saying he doesn't trust Eddie yet, and for good reason. I would say we probably are in. To be honest, I personally think we need a Plan B striker. And the best Plan B striker we could have had, we sold last January.
Giroud.
Yeah. I do think we need that type of player. Just like yesterday, West Ham are strong in the air. It's not going well, and we couldn't play the ball long because we had no one to do that. And so we ended up, and everyone's been moaning about it, the last 10 minutes just fucking about with the ball, playing from centre-back to centre-back when we're 1-0 down and trying to get a goal. Whereas if you had a Giroud or like someone else, a target man, this is where Welbeck was good because he could do so many different things. You could play long to him, you could play channels to him, you could do a few different things with him. I think we're badly missing another option, be that a Giroud or a Welbeck, but someone with a bit of physical presence.
Yeah, with all due respect, though, we never knew, at the time someone had to go, and I suppose we didn't know Welbeck, he was going to get injured either.
Oh no, I'm not criticising them for letting Giroud go, because to be honest, we wouldn't have got Aubameyang if Giroud didn't go, and that was very clear at the time.
Yeah.
But we need that type of player. As I said, it doesn't have to be a complete Giroud who's a bit immobile but very good in the air. But we do need someone that can win the physical battle, because Lacazette's not bad physically, but he's 5'7", so you're never really going to be pumping long balls to him and hoping for flick-ons. And Aubameyang's awful physically. So we do need someone that can bring that. Imagine, look, I think he's shit, but they bring Andy Carroll on yesterday. They could pump long, he could win flick-ons, and you get people running off him. Us with 10 minutes to go, we could only do the same thing. We'd be doing the whole other 80 minutes that hadn't worked. Our plan this isn't working, let's just do more of it. That seemed to be what we was going for.
Yeah, no, it's fucking, yeah, I don't know. We definitely need this right winger. Fuck, mate. I've been banging on about that for ages. If he could play a striker, I see MAA Gunner's point. It'd be really good. Anyway, we'll see. Schwinn, is it all Europa League from now, mate? MAA Gunner?
No, not just yet, but I'm also more, romantic than pragmatic. So I'm glad I don't have that job, because I think there's still something in the Premier League. I believe in the squad, and I do believe in Emery to an extent that we can pick it up, because we've seen it in the first half. And I know Tony's concern and that point, which is very well stated, is very real. But I think the next month is going to be very important in that sense, where we find out a bit more about our position, because at that point we might be forced into looking into the Europa League as the savior for the season. So I'd wait for about a month, but I would completely understand someone at the moment saying that let's put more eggs in that basket and take these fixtures seriously. The good thing is that we have Bate next, which seems to be a pretty open and shut case. And, you know, with the Europa League till maybe the semifinal, you could argue that you don't have to concentrate on it that hard, to the extent that you're sacrificing the game on the weekend to play some of your starters home or away. So that's a plus point. But at the same time, I'm happy to wait a month and see how things go.
MAA Gunner, none of us hate Granite or Xhaka, but surely there's much better. I don't think he's good enough with his mistakes and poor short passing. Don't block me, Tez. If you're going to block someone, block Schwinn. Look, I'm just going to add before I throw to you, Tony, on my thoughts, because I as everyone knows, I do like Granite. He has been a little bit poor of late. However, we paid 30-odd million for him. Barcelona paid 140 million for Coutinho, and how much did Manchester United pay for Pogba? 100 million. So, you know, like, when you look at it like that, and Coutinho, he's not even getting a fucking start at Barcelona at the moment. So, when you say better, depending on how much money you want to spend, I suppose. Tony?
I think the issue with Granit is we're heavily reliant on someone, because of the way he passes through the lines, that just has too many mistakes in him. So we need him for what he's good at, but he comes with this huge negative aspect. I think I've read a stat yesterday, I don't know if it's true, that in the last 2 years or the last season and a half, he's made more mistakes leading to goals than anyone else in the league.
Yeah, I read that stat today myself. It was from Dream Team or something, and they said 5. And I think I taught him this season. 5.
I didn't see the number, but I just read that in the last season and a half, he was the most mistakes leading to goals. But the thing is, we're reliant on him, and we've seen where we don't really work well without him. And I think that's always going to be an issue. You need to iron out them mistakes, but I feel like we've been saying that for 4 years. Or find someone who does what he does without the mistakes. Like, look, for me, Xhaka is a better player than Jorginho. I may get absolutely hammered for that. But the difference is, Jorginho doesn't come with the mistakes. How many mistakes has he made leading to goals? Next to none that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, I couldn't think of many. I was just trying to, as you're talking, I'm just trying to think other midfielders, you know, and defensive midfielders and stuff who have been linked to over the years. Anyway, Draxler, he was one, wasn't he? But he's more, he plays a little bit up front, doesn't he, on the wings and that.
Just higher up.
Yeah. So.
Just quickly, I don't think the question is if there is someone better than him available. Of course there is.
Well, that's what
but
he
how
says.
far down?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but how far down is that a priority, right? I mean, do you fix some of the other C-grade players just to categorize them quickly? Or do you start replacing the B-grade players? Sorry, Taz. I don't mean to say he's a B-grade player, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said, do you do what Barcelona did and pay 120 odd for 140 million and a Manchester United, you know, that played whatever they paid for Pogba. What was it, 100 million, Tony, or something? But
89, I think. 89.
So you know, are you wanting to go down that path, or remember, we're self-sustained club.
Yeah, so we can afford that. And to Tony's point, yeah, Jorginho probably hasn't made, you know, as many or even 1 or 2 goal, errors that led to goal. But then he's got a defense behind him on who he can rely and be a bit more liberated in that sense. You know, we haven't improved that much defensively. And I think someone made a very good point in the questions earlier that, you know, when it was Arsene around, then it was Arsene's fault that the defense hasn't been fixed. All of a sudden, now that Emery's in, it's not his mistake, it's the player's mistake. So, you know, there's a lot of bias here going on that doesn't come out very openly, but there's deeper issues in the team tactically and individually than Granit. And I don't think he is a problem. Maybe 3-4 years down the road we can look to improve in that department. But at the moment, I don't think he's the issue, the glaring issue, despite him having made a very, very big mistake yesterday.
Anyway, look, I'm going to end this one because I'm going to do what he told me not to do. I'm going to block the cunt. Fuck off. MAA Gunner. Block. See you later, cunt. MAA Gunners.
For a second, I feared you were going to block me.
MAA Gunners got another question, but we won't be reading that question because he has just tuned out of the podcast because I blocked him. No, I'll read it, mate. I haven't blocked you, brother. MAA Gunner, second half against Leicester, we had Ozil, Lacazette, Aubameyang, Iwobi, Tuera, Granit, Bellerin, Holding, and Leno, all on the pitch. None of them have been on the same pitch at the same time since Emery had his best team there. Yet he changed it. Okay, Holding is injured, but Monreal is there. Tony?
I saw this tweet come in, and I agree and disagree with it, because against Leicester he kind of went shit for bust and played Xhaka left back in the last half hour, which was when Aubameyang came on. So yeah, them players are on the pitch, but we all know, I don't want to see Xhaka playing left back ever again, so it doesn't quite work. I mean, for me, our best team would probably, just to try and fit people in, would probably be Lacazette up top, Aubameyang left, Ozil 10. Right, I ain't got a fucking clue, so you'd probably put Iwobi there. He deserves it over the others. Xhaka, Torreira, Bellerin. I think in a 4 you'd probably have to play Monreal over Kolasinac. And then the centre-backs, it doesn't seem to matter. They all seem to be shit. I'd probably go with what we've got fit, Socrates and Mustafi, and then Leno in goal. I would like to know how often he's played that team, because I don't know if you guys agree, but I'd imagine most people's best 11 wouldn't be a million miles away from that.
Oh, mine's pretty close. I remember we've spoke about the Iwobi, Aubameyang left and right thing a couple of times with Iwobi. Didn't play well on the right, but I agree with you. Who else do you put there? I don't want Mkhitaryan in there. So,
I mean, Mkhitaryan is probably the potential other option, and I don't think it'd be a travesty. I think if he played the other 10 I said and it was Mkhitaryan, I don't think you'd be crying about it.
Oh, no. But I think Iwobi, I agree with you, Iwobi has earned his place in the team, I think.
Oh, yeah. As I said, Iwobi would be my first choice. But you look at that, how often has he played what, as I said, I'd assume most people would have that very close to what their starting 11 would be, except him. And I wonder, maybe he does, maybe I'm wrong and he has played that 10 or 12 times. But if he has, it's when we was winning games, and he definitely hasn't played it since we stopped winning.
What do you think of Socrates?
I think he covers for mistakes very well. I'm not sure how good he'd be if we weren't making mistakes all the time, but because he's quick and strong, I think he recovers. He's got good recovery. I mean, look, a best defender doesn't recover. They don't have to. But since all of our defenders seem to make mistakes non-stop, like, I'm not digging out Mustafi here, but Socrates probably doesn't give away the foul that leads to their goal yesterday. I know there's a long time between them, because he's that bit quicker, that bit stronger, that bit smarter, where he doesn't slide in, he maybe runs with Anderson, or he gets there first because he is that bit quicker. But having said that, that's covering for a mistake that's already happened, and in all fairness, it was his mistake. He let the ball bounce to start with in the centre circle. Look, again, he's not an A-grade defender. I don't think there's anyone. I like him, but I'm never going to argue he's an A-grade defender. But where he is beneath that is questionable. I'd still probably have him as, with Holding out, I'd have him as my first choice centre back, to be honest.
Yeah, Holdings, it's a fucking big miss, isn't it? We didn't expect it.
Well, he's the only one that can actually play football. Like, Mustafi tries to play forward, and he's not the best at it, but he tries to get the ball going forward. Holding is a good, tidy footballer. He can pass short, he can pass long. He doesn't mind strolling forward with the ball. I saw a brilliant tweet last night, actually, that our shape, and I remember talking about this earlier in the season, our shape when we play out from the back is amongst the worst I've ever seen. Kolasinac is far too high up. Maitland-Niles is too deep. Xhaka and Guendouzi or Torreira come too short. And it's just so easy to stop. So there is also a system issue in there. I say Holden's a good footballer, but it doesn't matter if our shape is as bad as it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Fucking, and that's, this is what Emery was going to fucking teach him, wasn't he? Apparently. Hakon Larson, he's chimed in on a couple of quotes here or thoughts. Emery looks clueless yet again. Hakon cracks me up, because he says this. I remember reading this just about every week from Hakon. Why the fuck just don't play your best players if you are so unsure about formations and tactics, etc.? Not acceptable. Some serious questions need to be asked. What we are doing, we are so far behind, and many years with bad
dictatorship, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think so. From the board, etc., is clearly showing. Decisions, but he put a C, sorry. So decisions from the board, etc., is clearly showing. Anything to add there, boys?
No. You could have just had Sarvesh and Hakon on and done the podcast in 10 minutes, I suppose.
Where else are we going to go? MAA Gunner, in a year we're losing Wilshere and Santi, Ramsey, Ozil. Where does Emery expect the creativity to come from? Does he think Sevilla or something? What if we get Ozil on top of these players and it turns out Emery was just not good enough, very wasteful? Look, I'm going to say, I think, boys, and I know this is Emery's first year, and we have no idea apart from we just had a manager for 21 years, so we don't know if Arsenal are going to be trigger happy to sack a manager. But if we dwindle down to 8th or 9th position on the ladder, no Europa League, no FA Cup, out of everything, do you think, and I know it's very hard, but do you think that they will sit there and go, fuck, this project's not working?
For me, it depends. Again, I've said this earlier. It depends if you can see what you're trying to do. At the moment, you can't, so I think he would get sacked. But again, if you can see a system he's trying to implement and things are changing and it's maybe a bit of a, what's it called, like teething problems, where you can see what he's trying to do but the players just aren't used to it yet and whatnot, then I think it can be forgiven. If it carries on like this, then I can't see him lasting beyond 18 months, to be honest.
Schwinn, you agree?
I do, and I think it's also very clear that the fact that we've given him, a 2 or 3 year contract? Is that correct? Is it 2 or 3?
I'm not sure, mate.
I think the fact that we've given him not a 5-year contract or not a 4-year contract is clear that he's being tested. I don't think it's a job for life, so to say. So, and at the moment, I don't think anyone's going to argue that Emery is going to, win us the league. I don't think he's made a case for himself enough. Totally based on what we've seen and how we've seen us play. I don't think anyone can make a case that he's going to make us win the league. And that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? We can argue we're a few years away from it, but nothing that I have seen, at least.
Yeah, exactly. To see some change, mate. Like, to see us, coming closer to our goal. And we're just... I suppose that the 22 undefeated, that will go for him, though.
Perhaps, but last season, or was it maybe the season before that, we went on a similar run, I think, 17 or 18 games. I think it was Mustafi's first season. He probably didn't lose a game for the first 20 or odd first games he played for us. So, these things have happened before. This is not new. And I'd argue we probably played better back then because Arsenal had just put in that back three and things were going pretty well. If I get my timeline right, maybe I don't. My memory is not exactly the best out here. But this is very much based on pattern. This is nothing new. The collapse in November.
With all due respect, though, Wenger, a couple of FA Cups in the last 10 years. Well, and that's why I say we don't know what this Arsenal board are like, because they don't seem, and I don't know whether it was just because, Wenger was there for so long, and his first 10 years were brilliant. So, he's and don't get me wrong, I loved him, but you know what I mean, like. They weren't quick to sack him.
No, I'm with you, and I think it was based totally because it was Arsene Wenger, because we didn't want to disrespect him. I think it was totally that. But I also think that, despite what people might think of Kroenke, I think he wants to protect his investment. He'd be a fool not to. And I don't think he's in it to sell the club just to get his money back. Maybe he wants to sell the club in the future to make more money out of what he's put in. And I think that's fair. But I don't think he's willing to lose the money that he's put in, and continuous failure is going to result in that. And at the end of the day, the board is answerable to Kroenke.
I don't think he has much of a say, though. I don't think he'd have much of a say.
Well, when I say Kroenke, I mean the family, and we all know Josh is very heavily involved.
Yeah, true.
So right, and look, this you don't overhaul the club's hierarchy to not succeed from it. So I'm not for a second buying that we want to replace Emery if he's not doing well. I think we do it in a heartbeat. Obviously, it depends on what options are available, what time of the season is it, do we have the talents necessary, or if we're overperforming with Emery, despite finishing 8th, it could be a year from now that we've lost a lot of players because Emery thought that was the right thing to do, reinvested. And at that point, we're overperforming despite being in 8th position. I think that's a possibility, not a probability, but a possibility, on paper. So it depends on a variety of factors, of course, but I don't think we would hesitate from sacking him if required.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are we up to? Sandeep, he says, if only Ramsey scored tonight, Piers Morgan was in hospital. Okay, I'll take your word. Sandeep says, we have taken 2 points from the last 5 games. I just can't understand why he didn't start Ramsey, and what the fuck is his problem with Ozil. I don't give a fuck about ins and outs. I want Emery out. Well, there you go. If he doesn't get us top 4, better if he leaves now, or we might finish 7th. Schwinn?
Again, this might be one of those that came a bit too early after the final whistle. I'm pretty sure if he spoke to Sandeep, he'd probably say, yeah, that was just a fit of anger. And if it wasn't, I think that's fair. I'm not going to sit out here and try and defend my own point of view against someone else's. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. If he thinks Emery out for him, then good for him for being able to speak that out. I think people...
Well, he does say if he finishes 7th. So he did say, if he doesn't get top 4. And so the question I asked you guys just then, I said, 7th, 8th, 9th. Sandeep's like, well, if he doesn't get top 4 and, I know he does say better if he leaves now, or we might get 7th. So okay.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, I think top 4 might be a bit harsh. Even from the beginning of the season, I thought top 4 would be a bit too far from him. So 5th and 6th, I think is fine. I said 5th at the beginning of the season, and I stand by that. I think 5th or 6th should be fine. But it's more than that. It's what we see. It's how the performances play out. We wanted to see a style established, and at the moment, more than halfway through, we're nowhere close to that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that one. MAA Gunner, why is it that if we sold El Neni, we'd get £5, but if Liverpool sold him, they'd get 700? Tony, are you there with it, mate?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. £5 if we sold El Neni, but apparently if Liverpool sold him, they get 700 million.
Just to add to MAA Gunner, my tenant, who knows absolutely nothing about football, is here cracking up at that question. So yeah, it was obviously a good one. I don't know if you can hear her laugh in the background. She's got a slight disability. She's Australian.
Settle down.
Look, we're terrible at selling players. Well, for whatever reason, no idea what it is. But we don't use players, so obviously value goes down when you're not playing, which is what we were saying about Ozil earlier. El Nene's started one Premier League game this season. So no one's going to come in and value him what his true value would be if he was showing his ability week in, week out. It's probably as simple as that. You look at players the other teams sell, and they tend to try and use them at some point to gain interest in them. No one's going to be interested in the geezer that's sitting at the training ground playing with his hair.
Yeah, very cool. What happened to the Flamini takeover? Yeah, there was some takeover or something, was it?
So my friend that told it to me works with Omri. Works with Omri, Darren Dean, and they mentioned to him that they were looking to buy the club. So he told me, whether people want to believe this or not, I can only tell you what I'm told, and everyone in the club will know who this guy is. He told me that they made 3, not official bids, but they said to him, like, would you accept X amount? And he said no, and then they went back and done the numbers and came up with another figure higher, and Kroenke said no again, and then they came up with a final figure which wildly overvalued the club, but they could see that they can make that money back, and Kroenke said no again. The final figure that they came up with was I think it was just under $1 billion more than what Kroenke actually paid for the club. So they actually sold the shares for much less than they were proposing to buy them for, because Kroenke was basically saying there's no way he's ever going to sell. As I said, they offered pretty much $1 billion over market value, and were still told no, so they gave up their ideas. And then obviously Usmanov sold his shares.
Okay, there you go. Boys, I'm going to pump through here because we're fucking hit the 2-hour mark. So, and I don't really feel like going for 3 hours. MAA Gunner, since Welbeck is out for the season and didn't sign on, he's basically not an Arsenal player anymore if he's never playing for us again. So why aren't we giving Eddie a chance or looking at another striker in the market? You know, quickly on that, Tony?
I kind of touched on that earlier, that I don't think he trusts Eddie, and there's probably good reason for that in a moment, but not having a plan B, and I don't think Eddie would be that plan B anyway. I think it's too similar. I'd say the reason we're not looking for a striker in the market, because whoever it comes in would be a third choice, and a very clear third choice. And whereas in other positions we need a first choice. We need a first choice right winger. We arguably need a first choice centre back. With a striker, it'd be a third choice. So it's, as Schwinn said earlier when we were talking about Xhaka, do you look at your problem, your C grade problems, when you've got A grade problems?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Håkon Larsson, Guendouzi, good player, but young and needs to be managed, not start every fucking week, he says. That's how you fuck up talent. Okay, Håkon Larsson goes on and says, it's hard to say, but I don't like our players that much. Oh, he's a fucking classic, yeah, I love this bloke. Too limited, too many mistakes in them, not athletic enough, mentality is a shambles, doesn't look like they care at all. Every single one needs to step the fuck up. If this continues, we'll miss out on Champions League either way. Keeping in mind, we put this thread up 5 minutes after the West Ham game, so this is why we do this, see. Håkon Larsson with 10 minutes left, 1 goal down. We are playing fucking sideways on our own half and look clueless. What the fuck is this about? No fight, no will to passion. This has to be the worst match so far, and I feel like we are saying that too often. That club is killing me.
You know what? I'm going to go full Brexit here. An English manager, and I'm not saying an English manager would be better, but the traditional Premier League, they don't like it up them. The stuff that we've all kind of repelled against over the years, would have stuck a centre-back up front and gone long. Yeah, and right. I think there's probably a case of saying we probably needed to do that yesterday, because we kept just playing around at the back without going anywhere. At least if you've got a centre-back forward or someone with any height, you can lump it forward and try and make things happen. I'm not saying that we should hire
an English manager,
Sam Allardyce, but this is where I think Emery's probably a bit stubborn in that we play pass, we play out from the back. That's brilliant, but sometimes you have to do something different. Schwinn will know this quote better than me, but what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Exactly it.
Vish. Coincidence that yet again Xhaka's mistake leading to a goal. How many games have we lost to his poor actions? I was thinking of this today, and I'll just go quickly because I seen that stat and I'm thinking, I can't think of, I think it was 5 games this season that has led to us losing a game from Granit Xhaka, costing us a goal.
Well, not losing a game, because we only lost 5, have we?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe I'm forgetting. Maybe I don't want to remember.
I mean, if it is 5 goals, it won't be games.
It was definitely 5 goals.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves, Cardiff yesterday, just off the top of my head. But as a Cardiff one, it's one of them. It depends who you decide to blame, because the Cardiff one, it was a clear mistake from him, but there was probably 2 or 3 mistakes after. One thing I will say with Xhaka, and he does make way too many mistakes, but he seems to be punished every time he makes one.
Oh, yeah, which he gets smashed. Yeah. No, he does. Look, and I'm not defending him, because that was his fucking mistake. That was shocking. Vish, in hindsight, was it wise to play 3 centre backs, especially Kashani, in a game against a team that don't attack very much? Would we have been better suited to have played another midfielder like Ramsey or Ozil instead? I think we touched on that earlier, and it's very hard to say, but like I said, Nasri, Anderson and Rice, they were good yesterday. So in a team that doesn't attack much, West Ham type has shocked me a little bit. Troy the optimistic Gooner, do you think that if there is a situation between Emery and Ozil, that Emery is going all prison rules, take the biggest guy out to prove a point in a way that he couldn't do with Neymar at PSG, so he doesn't get tagged as manager who gets pushed around by the big players? Makes fucking sense. He's a dumb cunt, this Emery, isn't he? Like, dead sad. He simply is a dumb cunt. Like, I just don't, for the life of me, I don't fucking get it.
What's funny is you're the one that's more likely to hammer Ozil than me and Schwinn. You're the least fan of Ozil. But it's you that's calling him a dumb cunt. He's a
dumb cunt. Like, you're paying the bloke $350k a week. You fucking lost, like, and you fucking pointed this out to me last week, Tony, that does he improve the team now? Yes, he does.
That's all you need to think
of. That. Exactly, yeah. I have to admit that. He does. So, don't be a dumb cunt and fucking play him. Simple as that. Simple as fucking that. I don't get it. PM, how are you, buddy? Is Iwobi supposed to be playing left wing when we're playing 3 at the back? Kolasinac and Iwobi seem to be in the same spot most of the time when we build up slow. Surely it has to either be Ramsey or Ozil in the centre mid. Will Mafropanos get his chance? And would you prefer a 3-5-2 or a 4-3-3? Schwinn.
I think that's a very good point. It's sort of symmetrical to what Tony said about Aubameyang, with Niles so far up ahead on occasion that, Aubameyang and Niles found themselves in similar positions. I think Iwobi works very well with Kolasinac, but they, as mentioned, get in each other's way. I think a simple tweak from a 3-4-2-1 to a 3-4-1-2 would have helped a lot, because we had the width coming from our wing backs, and what we lacked was that extra player in midfield who could alleviate some of the pressure off of Guendouzi and Granit. Look, I think a 3-man defense helps us. I think some of our players, the gaps in their performances can be eradicated to an extent. But personally, I think we're built for a 4-2-3-1. We need a number 10. We need someone who sits in between the lines, is given a sort of a free role, and can connect with our attackers, whether it's Lacazette or Aubameyang on the day. So I would go with the 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 if that's what you want to call it on most occasions. But I can understand why Emery went with a 3-4. 2-1. I just wished for it to be, a 3-4-1-2, and I think we would have been in a better position then.
The reason he won't play one behind two is because then Ozil's an obvious selection.
Precisely. I mean, yeah, as you mentioned this yesterday, it made a lot of sense to me. But it's that's such naive and childish behavior for him to do that. If that's the reason he's done it, because at the end of the day, he's going to suffer from it because he might lose his job. And, it's the theme of the day. I think you might as well call the podcast this. He's fighting a battle that he's not going to win.
Fucking useless as an ashtray on a motorcycle, mate. That's what he fucking is. I don't understand why he fucking does it. Just pay some cunt 350k and what, didn't even take him to the fucking game. Does he play against Chelsea?
Look, this is I think probably one of the worst things to come of this is, look, we could conceivably lose to Chelsea with and without Ozil. I think he plays Ozil, and I think if we lose, which is highly possible, it's a see, I was right.
Yeah.
The issue that comes with that is if Ozil plays and we win, he cannot drop him anymore. He can't do it.
Well, for those who don't remember, our first game against Chelsea, Aubameyang up front, Iwobi on the left, Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Granit, Guendouzi.
Yeah.
It'll be Granit, Torreira, I'd imagine. Aubameyang, Lacazette will be there, how he fucking... You don't know this cunt. You don't know. But I think he has to start with Ozil.
But it's a perfect... It's for Emery, it's a 50-50. Because, as I said, I think he'll play Ozil, and if he wins, then he can't drop him anymore. He just can't do it.
Yeah.
If he loses, it vindicates everything he's been saying in his head, and it gives him enough reason to carry on doing that. And it'll get a lot of fans on Emery's side. Oh, see, Ozil come in and didn't do anything again. But not every game's equal.
Is somebody up top going, and you guys have said to me before, he's not the manager, he's the coach. Is there somebody up top going, mate, we're paying this bloke a bit of money. You going to play him or are we going to sell him?
Well, I said this a couple of weeks ago that I don't know why we haven't got rid of him. Because he's not going to use him. He is taking up a huge amount of resources. I don't want Mesut Ozil sold. But the fact is he is taking up resources, and someone has to have a word in Emery's ear and say, look, you're damaging his transfer value. We're still paying him regardless of whether you're playing him or not. So use him or let us know and we'll try and get rid of him. But if we can't and he's clearly still in our best 11, you have to pick him. It's difficult because you don't want a chairman start telling, or whoever it be, to start telling a manager who to pick. I mean, we've seen it at some of these sugar daddy clubs before and it's gone wrong. I mean, Abramovich was making whoever the manager was at the time pick Shevchenko because he was his mate or whatever. He thought he was a masterful signing. You don't want that, but someone has to speak to Emery because we are working on a tight budget, and Ozil is taking up a lot of that budget.
Yeah, someone's got to be saying something. I would think. Another fucking thing. I don't get it much about this fucking club no more. Okay, Schwinn prediction for Chelsea.
It's going to be hard, but being the romantic idiot I am, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win.
2-0 win. I'm going to say I'm going to say a 3-0 loss.
Ouch. With Mesut Ozil or without Mesut Ozil?
Actually, good point. I'm going to say with Ozil, it's a 2-1 win. Without Ozil, it's a 3-0 loss. Without Ozil, I've seen nothing to suggest that, like teams like fucking West Ham are getting goals against us. Was it Burnley? Did we lose?
Burnley was beat 3-1.
Burnley.
That was the game Ozil played and got an assist and the pass of the season, arguably.
Yeah, Brighton, sorry, we drew.
Yeah, I went off at half-time.
Yep. So, Brighton, we drew. West Ham.
Palace was similar. Palace, I think we were up 2-1, and I think he was taken off. Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
No, you're right.
Did he play against Fulham?
And Chelsea, of course, right? We lost 3-2 early in the season when he was taken off, and like I said, I think came off and made that major mistake.
That came on. It was 2-2. I think the only game where we've taken him off and the result. I mean, we've either taken him off and the results got better. I don't think that's happened, or we've brought him on and the results got worse. Is Southampton? We was 2-2 at Southampton and came. I think that's the only one. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong. I've not looked into it.
Did he play against Fulham, Tony? Because I was away.
No.
No, he didn't. Okay. You got no predictions, Tony?
No.
All right.
I actually spent ages just thinking of one, and then I remembered that I don't do predictions, so that's easy.
I always ask because I think I might get you off guard.
If you would have said then, what's your prediction? I probably would have given you one, but because you said, you don't do them, do you? I was like, yeah, that's the way out.
For fuck's sake, Ted.
Fucking hell.
The one time.
Fucking rookie error.
God damn it, Tell.
Yeah, I'm getting fucking all sorts of weird fucking cunt names from these blokes. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for your questions. You can always get them at clockend_talk. Thread always goes up just after the match. You can email clockandtalk@gmail.com. The boys are doing wonderful work on the blog. I haven't seen ratings, so I didn't mention them. Craig and the boys, you can get the blog, clockend.blogspot.com. Thanks once again, gentlemen, and we will see you all next week. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you, Schwinn. Hopefully you join us next week too, bro.
If you have me, that is.
Nope.
The boss has spoken, mate. My hands are tied. Sorry, Schwinn. Okay, thanks, guys.
No worries. I'll see you guys whenever you need me next.
Tactical reasons.
If Ozil starts, you start. How's that?
Wow. That's not a very positive way to look at it, is it?
Okay, boys. Thanks you, and thank you, everybody. See yous. Good night.